Clear Shots is brought to you by Pinecast. Use the code R-63F8FB to get 40% off your first 4 months.
Don't give them clear shots! Don't give them clear shots! Don't give them clear shots! Don't give them clear shots!
All right. Swords.
So I've been working at the Ren Fair over the weekends, and there's only 2 more weekends left. But a couple years ago, I actually bought an angel sword from these guys.
How much are swords on average?
Our shop, the swords start at $3,000.
Damn.
And our knives start at $300. But they have a lifetime warranty against breakage. And if you find a way to break them, we'll replace it with something of equal value or a little bit greater.
Do people use them? Like, what do they use them for? I mean, most of the time, like, most people, like, I know that have weapons, they just hang them on their wall, like, their decorations,
I have
collections.
kitchen knives and stuff like that I use almost every day at work and stuff, and it has the same edge, so...
Right. I mean, the only thing I've used...
And there's pocket knives
is
and
like
stuff like that,
yeah,
too.
like a hunting knife or something.
The katana, the reason why I have that, I'm a martial arts
sometimes you have to have a katana.
I'm a martial arts enthusiast, and also like we were saying before, like, I don't know, I'm kind of a bit of a prepper, so I have like a bug out bag all ready to go, and right next to that is my katana and stuff like that. That'd be one of the first things I grab. Like, people are going to run out of bullets eventually, and
yeah,
I'm honestly really good with a sword, and if I have that sword... these swords have world records as well. They are the hardest swords in the world, and they have the record for cutting through the most tatami mats.
So it's just good craftsmanship is what you're saying.
Yeah. The NASA has taken the way that they make their steel and put it up into space.
That's crazy.
These swords are harder than Abrams tank armor, the Bright Knight brand and above, and they're harder than tank armor. And they, my sword can stab through a car door and still not have any damage done to the tip or anything like that.
Huh.
These swords have been on Mythbusters 4 times. They sent in 46 other swords from around the world to have a test blade on blade against our swords, and our sword destroyed every single one of theirs. And then after that, they had a machine gun barrel, and they had it cut through a machine gun barrel or chopped through a machine gun barrel, like with like a metal arm or like a robot arm. Like, humans can't put that much force into it,
hard, yeah.
but the blade still was...
That's crazy.
And then they were shooting it with a gun, and it still didn't break. The other blades, they would shatter at the tip or something like that, like the energy going through it go up to the tip. And ours kept taking multiple bullets. And then other swords can do this too, but our swords can, like, if you align it, it'll cut bullets in half. Like,
yeah, I've seen that. That's crazy.
And
good luck being that accurate.
Yeah. But and the cool thing is, say I got a kitchen knife that I paid $1,200 for. If, say, in a few years I want to trade that in, and I can trade that in and have it be the same amount that I paid for it.
Yeah.
And then go towards, like, I want to get that $3,000 sword or whatever, so then I don't have to pay the full amount. And you can always be trading up, and also stuff appreciates in value too, especially depending on what line it is and how the economy's doing and stuff.
Huh.
So you can always be trading up.
Just an investment.
Yeah, exactly. So you can always go in, trade, and they also will sharpen your blade for you for free if you need it. They'll just for free. They'll ask for a beer, and that's it. So, and a good conversation. Deal. And these knives are so sharp. Literally, I was taking a piece of paper and I was shaving them, and it was not going all the way through. like this way, like that, and it was just peeling the paper.
That's pretty intense.
The magic card.
Yeah.
He has a magic card that he shows off, and like every time it's the same card, and he just goes like layer by layer, and it's been like 20 layers somehow with this fucking sword. No, it's nuts.
So what happens when somebody brings in a sword with blood on it, and they're like, like I got this under warranty, so I need to
It was a lifetime, and I added a life with it. So.
That's a good one. Yeah. Yo, there's this fucking chick. So, chick and boyfriend. I'm showing the knives. Hey, want to check out these knives? Show how sharp they are. I cut these cards with them and be like, yo, these are the hardest and some of the sharpest blades in the world. They have the world record cuts and stuff like that. And the boyfriend, he's like actually like asking good questions and stuff like that, and like being knife conscious.
I mean, the man knows his knife.
Yeah.
The girlfriend's just like, do you have lightsabers?
Pretty much, yeah. Like she was just like, oh, blah blah blah, like just kind of eye rolling anything he was saying, and like he was like, yo, these things are fucking like the real deal, and like, and he hands it to her, and I'm like, yep, just or no, he handed it back to me. She's like, oh, can I hold it? And I was like, here, just don't touch the blade because oil's in your hand, and also like somebody could back into you and like you get cut or whatever, and just keep the blade above the counter. And she's checking it out, and she starts touching the blade immediately. And I'm like, no, stop. You're getting oils. No, I'm not going to cut myself. And then like, I'm like, yeah, but oils and stuff like that, and it'll like eventually make it rust and stuff like that. And then she puts the knife to her wrist and is like going back and forth slightly, and I'm like, stop. And she's just like, what? I'm not going to cut myself. And I was like,
yes, you are.
Give me that. Like,
did she bleed out in front of you? I really hope she did.
No.
She probably did eventually.
And I was like, yo, somebody, like, there's a bunch of people all around. Somebody could just bump in your shoulder and then like,
yeah, I'm not good with.
My heart was fucking in my throat.
Yeah.
My heart was in my throat. I was so
how's she gonna
scared.
buy it if she bleeds out?
Yeah.
I'm not good with sharp things, dude. I've had too many bad things happen.
I'm too good with sharp things.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it was
How
scary.
often do people get cut in half with swords these days?
Not often enough. That's what Cass is trying to fix.
The world record is with one of our swords is 28 tatami mats.
I thought you were gonna say people.
One of those tatami mats represents cutting through somebody from their neck to their armpit.
So what is it, like ballistics? Like
Two of those represent cutting through somebody from shoulder to shoulder.
So it's 28.
So 28.
It's like a child encampment in Iran.
That's 14 people hugging.
Where do you want to optimally hit them?
14 people.
You want to get them right at the waist?
You want to do like a 45-degree angle. And
so that the top slides off.
Yeah, like in 13
well,
Ghosts.
Also like when you're using the blade, you also want to run the blade as much as you can while you're cutting. It's not just a chop hit. It's like you're pulling through.
Yeah. Okay.
There's different types of cuts too, where I could put the blade into you like the tip and then run forward towards you to get that rest. So then
I always felt like
tying a knot. There's like tons of different knots. There's tons.
I always felt like if I was gonna fight with a sword, I'd just go this, like a stabbing motion.
Yeah,
because that's hard to defend.
Yep.
Versus a swing where you can block a swing.
Yep.
I feel like with that, the only way to block it is to hit it away from you.
Well, that's why you gotta always be wearing your forearm pads.
That's why you gotta get good at fencing
and shin pads.
Yeah.
Fencing's fucking so cool, dude.
Fencing's crazy. Jousting and shit.
But being where we are and where our families are financially, living in Oswego, New York, we will never be
not interested. Yeah, there's no
professionally.
That's another. Didn't we talk about that? Like
my buddy fences, and he's like one of the ones where the buttons on the end, so you can and you actually know when you hit people and stuff like that.
Didn't we just talk about what sports are super expensive to get into and shit? We didn't even say fencing.
We didn't say fencing. Polo was number one.
We talked about polo.
But your fencing's not too bad. You get those couple training swords and those masks, you're good.
Right.
You just gotta. I bet you'd spend $200-300. You can get yourself a decent.
It's the league
It's the
costs.
fencing league, though.
Yeah,
you gotta
true.
go to the country club to fence. Dude.
The AFL.
Oh, they have.
No, I don't know, but I feel like that's a country club thing.
That'd be fun as fuck.
That's like the elite members. You get to fence.
Yeah,
No,
it's like
I think
It's like
polo.
the laser
Polo was
tag
number
of
one,
swords.
wasn't it?
polo. Yeah,
Yeah, because it's the horseback crochet.
I hate
shit.
seeing all these kids on
Golf.
scooters nowadays.
dude, I saw this guy today, and he was
Wait, what
riding.
kind of scooters? Like a moped or like a scooter?
Like a scooter,
Like
yeah.
a laser scooter?
Yeah.
Oh,
I hate
what's
them.
Well, I mean, they're kind of fun to play around with, but I don't want to fucking sit there and ride a scooter all
I
over
don't
the
want to
place.
see that many people.
I don't want to see.
I used to be able
I
to
don't
tail
want
whip.
scooters.
I could tail whip, and then I stopped using
Yeah.
scooters.
I just want to tell them, buy yourself a skateboard.
Yeah,
And
there was a
What do you
guy
even know about
riding this.
skateboarding?
It was like this weird. It looked like
it looks cooler than scootering, though.
It looked like a weird like wheel, but it had like a plastic covering over it, and he was just standing on it. Like
Oh,
his
we
foot
saw
was on
that guy
both
today.
sides. He was riding around, and he had music like blaring. From
Yeah, it was
where-
coming out of it.
That
Vinny-
single wheel between his legs?
Yeah.
it was
I've
on-
seen
It
that.
was on Vinny's Snapchat.
I was like, "What the fuck is this guy doing?" Especially
It's
because he was
like a
blaring
unicycle.
like
I actually talked to somebody that
he
had
was
one
blaring
of
like
those.
dance music and shit. I'm like,
don't
"What
have a
is
Snapchat.
this shit?" It's
Yeah,
kind of
he-
like one of
yeah,
those.
that's you. We ran in. We saw the guy at Old City. He was just cruising around Water Street.
That's
listening.
where he was. He
Yeah.
was kind of like over near Old City, but it was like it's kind of like those hoverboard things, but it's a single wheel. It's like a unicycle hoverboard, basically.
Yeah.
It's so fucking weird. Those are kind of hard to ride, actually. Those
Hoverboards?
yeah,
They're disoriented.
because they base how they go is the way you're leaning.
Yeah. I got
That's why
it.
I don't like
I've done it
motorcycles.
twice so
I feel like
far.
I could get the hang of it, but it's just when you first get on it, you're like, holy shit.
Getting off it's weird, too.
Getting on it too.
I feel like the
you got to
single
put all your
ball-
weight on one foot to get on.
Yeah. Yep. And then you get your other foot on real
You
quick.
have
yeah.
to jump on immediately.
Yeah.
That's why I feel like the single one is way cooler.
Yeah.
Because that seems to me way more.
Then it's like a unicycle.
Well, you have to be more. attentive
Unicycle's
with
hard to
control.
ride, too.
Fuck that
Unicycles
shit.
are super hard to ride. But once you get it down, it's like riding a bike.
Except for with only one wheel.
Met a professional unicyclist who was like a trick unicyclist.
What
Imagine being
tricks
that
can you
guy.
do with it though?
Imagine being that guy that unicycles.
What
around.
tricks can you
Yeah,
do?
like
You know, like how
Unicycling.
they spin. You know
Not
how
falling-
that
not
is the
you know
falling
how
over.
bikers they spin the pedals underneath them?
Yeah, it's
well,
what's
a
that called?
kickflip or a whatever they call it.
Trade
It's
flip.
something like that.
A dark
Well,
slide.
when you do it with a unicycle, the whole wheel moves. You know, it's not just the
Oh,
not just the chain moving. So you actually got to kick the whole wheel and stuff
even
like that.
backwards, it
Yeah.
still moves.
Yep. And he did this one move where he'd go and he'd grab his front wheel, his only wheel, and
It's
push
only
it,
one gear,
and he'd push it forward. So then he'd make it do like a kickflip or whatever, make the wheel spin without his legs on it, and then he'd catch the pedals again, going down a set. And then also at the same time, you could make it go around you and then catch it like this.
They don't have handlebars, right?
Yeah, but you're just holding onto the seat.
So you can do. Oh, that's crazy.
So
you can bunny hop.
Yep.
But you have to pull it up, and
Yep.
you could like do 360s and
And the
shit.
thing is, when they land, like it's like fixed gear, so you have to keep pedaling. Like
Yeah.
when you like they
right,
stop.
you're forced to keep pedaling.
Yep.
You're going to either way, basically, even if you don't want to.
Dude, that shit's nuts.
So it was almost like he was standing on a pogo, like jumping around,
Yeah.
standing like that, and then kind of going forward. Then as he'd get to the top of the set, and then he'd stop, and then kind of like jump, and then throw himself down the set, and then land, and then roll away. It wasn't like anything smooth at all.
I mean, that's another level of extreme, though.
but it's
like,
pretty much like jumping with your unicycle rather than rolling away.
I feel like it's limited though,
yes.
Gotta take a lot of core strength, man.
because it's not like.
Yeah.
I mean, with a skateboard, there's so much shit you can do with it. But I think with that shit, you really are limited to a certain set of tricks.
Yeah.
And once you master your tricks, now you're the best in the world.
Yeah. But the one move that he was doing where he'd pull it and then he'd make it go around his right leg and then pull it through his leg like that, go around his leg. That was the coolest thing I saw him do.
That's crazy. I want him to spin the seat all the way around the wheel in the air and land back on the seat. I don't know, man. I've never even tried to get on one of those.
It's really tough. I tried once.
Just getting on it, I would imagine, is difficult.
You have to like be next to a wall and then like it's like standing on a ball.
Yeah.
You know? It's really hard.
Yeah, I think a lot of them do. Even just going forward consistently is probably difficult. Because a lot of times you see people going back and forth on it just to keep their balance.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like a rocking motion.
My dad's friend in Pennsylvania, he's this fucking crazy dude. He's one of those people that is in one of those giant fueling planes and he's like guiding the hose to go into jet planes and stuff like that. Well, he is a beast. He goes and like he did this the Iron Man like 100-mile thing race in one day, like where you run over 100 miles in one day. I seen him do it. Like, this dude's insane.
Fuck that.
It's too many miles.
That's like 99 more miles than I want.
Your mic's not even on.
I don't give a fuck.
Oh no.
I turned it off because I'm drunk.
He's got a vape.
But what was I just saying?
We were talking about Robert Downey Jr.
I don't know who that is.
Iron Man.
You were talking about the guy that runs 100 miles.
Oh yeah.
And he puts hoses and stuff.
He unicycles, and when I was on my first trip with Billy, we stopped at his house in Pennsylvania, and he was riding a unicycle with us up these like hills / mountains in Pennsylvania, like keeping up and everything. And I have this bike with gears and everything, and I'm like, oh my god.
He was like,
I mean, hills.
Yeah, up
hills
the hill.
still suck.
Dude,
even with
I
gears.
feel like since unicycles are all one gear,
Yeah,
once your legs and your core get used to that, like you can power through anything.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Like imagine mountain.
But even
unicycling.
it's crazy.
Downhill
because
unicycling.
Even
Like
in your lowest gear on a bike, it's difficult to get up a hill. Still,
if you're a pussy,
I mean, it still is.
I
It
only
really
drive
is.
on first gear. Exclusively, especially when I'm going downhill. You know what the best part about riding a bike is when you start out in like 2 or 3 and then you start picking up the pace and then you shift to like 10
Yeah.
and you're just fucking zooming.
Or if you have a car that's only one gear and it's only the first gear. So you're just
Yeah, my
redlining
mom's
all the
Infinity
time.
is like
it's
that.
just me.
Yeah, her
like constantly.
my mom's Infinity, it has 3 things on the shift calculator. It's got
Shift
D,
calculator.
it's got D, P, and N. Oh no, D, R, P, and N is actually what it has.
So reverse.
It's got drive,
Park.
reverse, park, and neutral. That's all that car has.
Yeah. So obviously it's automatic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of them. I mean, sometimes you got a D2. You know.
Which is like the sequel to Drive.
Yeah. I think it was Hannibal Buress.
Yeah, it was Hannibal Buress. Talk about
sometimes I
windshield-
like to put it in D2 because it
Windshield
sounds.
wiper fluid.
I like the way it
sounds like the sequel to Drive.
Yeah.
He goes, whenever I rent cars, I always make sure I fill up the gas tank, but I use all the windshield wiper fluid and all the transmission fluid. I spent so much time making unnecessary transitions. I go from reverse to park and park to reverse, then reverse to neutral and neutral back to park and neutral and park back to drive and drive back to neutral and drive back to reverse and reverse to park and park to neutral. And I go to drive and then I go from drive, I go to D2, which is like drive 2, which is the sequel to Drive. And then after that, I go from D2 back to D, and then I go to reverse and neutral and park, and then I go to D3, 3D. Making all sorts of unnecessary transmissions. I watched a special the other night where he talked about apple juice. I can't do it. He's such a good fucking comedian.
He's really good.
He's so good. His delivery.
It's his delivery. It really is.
His delivery is perfect.
He's also very
very weird.
Yeah.
He's almost like this generation's. In a way, he kind of has the
Hedberg
same
kind of thing, like
Hedberg sort of thing.
like
where
a
it's
stale
super,
delivery,
it's
but-
impossible to mimic his style of comedy because it's the way he is.
It's very like
It's the way he talks.
It's like a dry kind of thing.
It's like a dry, nonsensical, non sequiturs.
Yeah.
Non sequiturs, sorry. But he has this one bit where he talks about how he went to the grocery store with his girlfriend, and apple juice was $1.49 for a half gallon. So he bought 8 of them. And he was in line, and all him and his girlfriend were buying were the bottles of apple juice. And he goes, and there was this old white guy behind us that looked at me and looked at my girlfriend and started shaking his head. And I immediately started thinking, man, he must be really jealous of all this apple juice we bought. And then I realized that he wasn't shaking his head because we were buying apple juice. He was shaking his head because I'm black and my girlfriend is white. But I was in so much bliss about buying all that apple juice that for a split second I lived in a world where racism didn't exist.
Damn, all that apple juice.
That is a lot of apple juice. And you really don't need all that apple juice, to be honest with you.
Hey,
Well,
you should see
would you
how
guys,
much juice I get.
Yeah.
Would you guys rather be deaf with no arms or blind with no legs?
Deaf, no arms.
I don't know. Maybe blind with no legs. Because you can still get around, right? And if you're blind, you can still hear things to move your way around.
I'd rather see to do things.
But I also like music. But I guess if I was deaf, I wouldn't know that I like music. Right?
No, you know, you remember hearing now.
Yeah, I guess. It depends on if it's from birth. You know what I mean? But, I mean, it's a trade-off for sure. I think with no legs, the fact that you can still move around, like if you had a wheelchair or something, that kind of like alleviates the loss a little bit.
Yeah, that would suck not being able to jerk off.
Right. That's true. You can't do
You're
that.
probably get a
You
lot of
can't-
sympathy pussy if you get
There's a
no
lot of
arms.
things you can't do with no arms.
I don't think so. I don't,
No, you don't think that there's a big sympathy pussy market for
Yeah.
fucking no arm man?
You know?
No.
Yeah, I just feel like
I feel like
there's-
blind guys get more pussy than deaf guys.
Right.
Ooh.
Full stop.
And with your arms, I
Yeah.
feel like it's just easier to do a lot of things with your arms. You can learn to do things with your feet and
You
legs.
can get a seeing eye dog and
Aw.
still be in a wheelchair.
Well, like, at least now I got, like, an excuse not to do things.
right.
You know? Like, no, I can't do that. I don't have arms.
That's true.
That,
Yo, you want to go out for a drink? No.
you're working at the plant. They're like, Cassidy, we need you to get on the bulldozer and take this down. I
Nope.
can't do it, boss. I don't got any arms.
I can't bulldoze today. I
Kowalski,
got no
you're
arms.
on it. And they're just like, in the break room, they're just like, that fucking Barney, man.
Yeah.
That no arm
What are
having
we paying him
motherfucker.
for?
He always pulls that fucking no arm having card. We get stuck doing all the dirty work. You know, he just sits around. He just kicks a room
Don't even ask him. I know he's going to pull the no
He
arm
just
thing.
stands around, doesn't even lean on anything because he doesn't have any arms.
Like, we don't know if he's
I don't
crossing
like
his
him
arms
because he
or
doesn't.
not.
I don't like him because he doesn't lean enough.
That man needs codeine. Goddamn.
Hey, could you pick that? I'm sorry.
Do you think it'd be easier to hate somebody that was deaf than somebody that was blind? What do you think is easier to hate? Deaf people or blind people?
Well, the thing is, if you're deaf,
Deaf.
you can read lips, too, though.
Well, wait. Do I hate the deaf people or do I hate the blind people?
No, which one is easier to
Let's just
create
say
a
that
hate
you-
group against?
Yeah, let's just hate. Let's
Deaf
just say that
because
you hate.
they freaking yeah. Like blind people, like you feel bad for them, you know. Deaf
Do
people,
you?
it's just like
You don't really know either.
deaf
though.
people. It's just like fuck. I
I gotta deal with a
I
deaf
mean, the thing is-
motherfucker.
The thing is, with deaf people, you don't
how can I communicate? With this person?
necessarily know until they talk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then
and
when
they-
you hear them,
Then you know.
Then you know.
Unless they're on the spectrum, then you think maybe they're on the spectrum because they sound kind of
yeah.
downsy. But
I work with a deaf girl.
Wow, that sucks.
She's garbage. I hate her.
they can
Yeah.
read. A lot of them can read lips, so it's like you kind
You
of
know, my dad minored in sign language when he went to college, and he was telling
can
me
do that too, yeah.
Well, he was telling me that in the deaf community, there's a gigantic wedge between people that have the cochlear implants and people that don't have the cochlear implants.
What's that?
It's where they have the magnet implanted in their head, and the hearing aid attached to their ear, and then you attach the magnet to it, and it like activates the hearing receptors in your brain or whatever. Is it cochlear or cochlear? Cochlear. It's an implant you get for,
I think it's cochlear.
Wow.
I'll show you a picture of it. You'll know what I'm talking about.
And that makes people hear?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's to the degree that...
Whoa.
You ever seen one of those?
Yeah.
There's a nurse I work with that has that.
Yeah, okay.
But,
I wonder if it works like those bone conduction headphones.
Yeah.
I think it's the same thing, but it works flawlessly. It's got like a super high success rate, but it's really expensive. Yeah. So there's a big divide between the people that have this procedure and the ones that don't, because not only is it expensive to get, it's also expensive to maintain. I would say probably like 10 to 20 grand.
Most likely.
And that doesn't even include, like, my grandpa got hearing aids, and just hearing aids
are like 3,000 or so.
We're like 3,000 or 4,000.
But I mean, if you think about it, it's probably worth it.
It is definitely worth it. But then you're always going to have the people that can't afford it.
Those batteries in those motherfuckers.
Yeah, I remember
you got to pull it off and put it in a USB charger like every fucking night and shit.
Dude, you know what I found out? I work with a guy that's
runs on a watch battery,
and he's on house arrest. And did you know that you have to charge your ankle bracelet? And that if you don't charge your ankle bracelet, the police come and make you charge it.
For house arrest? Really?
Yeah. I had no idea. I work with a guy that's on house arrest right now. Huh. You know that really scummy apartment building complex by Gary's right at the end of the bar? The blue building? By that Krause gas station? Mm-hmm. That's where he lives. Huh. It's a fucking halfway house for people on probation and stuff. And he's on house arrest, and he has to charge his fucking ankle monitor. And it takes like an hour and a half to charge it all the way.
So he's just sitting there next to
He's only allowed to be out of his apartment. Besides,
I mean, he's going to be sitting there anyway.
Yeah. Exactly. Besides work, he's only allowed to be out of his apartment for 2 hours a week. So the guy smells like death because he doesn't wash his clothes at the laundromat. It's fucked up, man.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Feel bad.
House arrest is such a weird thing. Like, it's such a weird concept.
Yeah, he was like sober from alcohol for years. And
you ever see that movie with
Disturbia?
Yeah,
with Shia LaBeouf. I like Eagle Eye, dude. Eagle Eye was a dope movie.
I never seen that.
But yeah, so this guy I work with he was sober for years, and then when he went to a Fleetwood Mac concert and blacked out on rum and cokes, and then came to at 9 a.m. the next day, fighting his fiance and destroying their house because she was trying to get him to go to bed. But yeah, Eagle Eye had Shia LaBeouf, and it was like this. He was like talking to an AI that was like in control of the country while he was trying to do all this stuff. Like the AI went rogue with Shia LaBeouf or something like that. Or maybe I'm thinking of the movie Doom with Dwayne Johnson.
Same thing.
I think it's getting to be that time.
What time is it? Quarter after, probably?
Quarter after.
Alrighty.
Definitely.
Guess let's wrap. Well, thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. That was always fun.
Yeah,
that was good conversations, for real.
Good.
Yep, I'm sure we'll do it again.
No.
Nah, call it. That's it. This is the last one.
That's the last episode ever. 31 is it.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening. Clear Shots is available on any of your favorite podcast platforms. ClearShotsPodcast.com is the best place to find all of our social media links. You can find us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at ClearShotsPod. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.